The top stories tonight in Y News. Filipinos scheduled to receive their second dose of the Sputnik V vaccine may need to wait a little longer after the delivery of the Russian vaccine to the Philippines is facing delays.
Around 61 billion pesos of the Bayanihan 2 funds remain unspent a week before the law expires.
Nearly 1 million voters still needed for the May 2022 elections. The Philippine National Police recommends that the policeman who shot a 52-year-old woman dead last month in Quezon City be dismissed from service.
Russia registers more than 500 COVID-19 deaths in 24 hours.
And know why this Labrador is always present in a French courtroom. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Wednesday, June 23, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. Filipinos who were vaccinated with their first dose of Sputnik V vaccine may need to wait for their second dose as the delivery of 50,000 doses of the Russian vaccines faces delay. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Due to ongoing upgrades and latest developments, the arrival of the component 2 or second dose of Russian-made Sputnik V vaccines will be delayed. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 or NTF has received a formal communication on this from the Russian Direct Investment Fund.
Nagkaroon na po ng communication yung EUA ng Sputnik V ay papaamendahan po. Apparently mas mataas po ang efficacy kung mas matagal yung period ng first dose sa second dose. I think it will be almost the same as AstraZeneca na 12 weeks, no?
The NTF has already informed all local government units who have administered the first dose of Sputnik V that the second shot will be pushed back and rescheduled. Malacanang, however, is confident that this will not affect the efficacy of the vaccines. So far, the Philippines has already received 180,000 doses of Sputnik V shots.
So wala pong epekto yung counting delay na incur. It will even be more ideal for efficacy na ma-delay ang second dose ng Sputnik V.
Meanwhile, according to the NTF, the Food and Drug Administration or FDA is currently studying the request of Russia's Gamaleya Research Institute to amend the interval period between the two doses of Sputnik V from the minimum of 21 days to 90 days. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Vice President Leni Robredo is willing to expand its Vaccine Express project to Visayas and Mindanao. Meanwhile, the province of Albay requests for additional vaccine supplies to address the spiking cases of COVID-19. JP Dueñas has the story.
Deputy Speaker and Cagayan de Oro Representative Rufus Rodriguez urged Vice President Leni Robredo to set up drive-through vaccination sites for economic frontliners outside of Metro Manila. In a statement, Rodriguez said Robredo should roll out the Vaccine Express program in cities like Cagayan de Oro and Iloilo, where COVID-19 cases are rising, instead of the city of Manila, which has already given so much vaccines to its residents. In a tweet, VP Robredo says they will be coordinating with the local government unit in Cagayan de Oro City to bring program to their area. This afternoon, more than 2,000 pedicab, tricycle drivers, and delivery riders got inoculated in the Vaccine Express in CCP complex. Meanwhile, the province of Albay in Bicol region is now appealing to the national government for the additional supplies of COVID vaccine due to the high number of infections or new COVID cases recorded in the province. According to Governor Al Francis Bichara, they still need 40,000 doses of COVID vaccines.
Problema namin, kukunti yung bakunang dumarating. Kasi, ang dumating sa amin is 6,000 plus buyers, no? Pero ang dapat bakunahan namin ay 46,000 from A1 to A4.
The province has nearly 2,000 active COVID cases due to local transmission.
Definitely, kailangan para huwag nang kumalat. Dahil na nakakaroon ng local transmission, lalo na yung mga government personnel, saka yung mga sa mga bangko, yung mga tellers, yung cashier, yung mga essential workers.
Meanwhile, Malacanang assures that they are already in action to respond not only to the call of Albay but to all places experiencing surge for the allocation of the vaccine.
So wag po kayo mag-alala. The President has ordered equitable distribution. Ibig sabihin, ang priority na po natin is Metro Manila plus 8 plus 10. Yung plus 10 areas are the areas na nakaka-experience po ngayon ng surges. So we hear you and they will be relief forthcoming po.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, some local government units has no capacity to have a storage facility for Pfizer vaccines that demand sensitive temperature requirements. This prompted the Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, to entice the local government units to coordinate with the private sector in acquiring cold storage facilities as preparation for the arrival of Pfizer vaccines. We have Marvin Callas on the line to give us the details in this live report. Yes, Marvin, good evening. In preparation with the arrival of 40 million doses of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines in August.
Yes, William, in preparation with the arrival of this 40 million doses of Pfizer vaccines in August, the Department of Interior and Local Government advised the local governments to prepare for logistics and facilities for vaccine storage.
In-encourage ng ating departamento at ang ating pamahalaan in general ang pakikipag-ugnayan at pakikipagsuporta sa ating pribadong sektor na may kakayahan for that purpose, na particularly storage requirement.
It aims to ensure all vaccines will be consumed and none would be wasted. The Pfizer vaccine requires a negative 60 up to negative 80 degrees centigrade temperature.
Alam ko, naniniwala ako sa commitment, dedikasyon at kakayahan ng ating lokal na pamahalaan na once darating ang Pfizer ay ready sila, prepared sila at nakipag-coordinate sila sa tamang ahensya at pribadong sektor na makakatulong sa kanila.
Meanwhile, the DILG will also schedule a regular inspection of the local government units in Metro Manila as well as in the provinces to ensure a good system of vaccination rollout. Through this, the DILG would easily identify and assist the needs and problems of local government units in terms of vaccination. DILG Secretary Eduardo Año earlier directed the local government units to tie up with third-party providers for logistics and cold storage facilities to be used for vaccine brands having sensitive requirements such as the Pfizer, Moderna, and Sputnik V. That's our latest live. Back to you, William.
Yes, thank you very much, Marvin Callas, live from Quezon City.
The government assures that the Philippines will not be the last among Asian countries to achieve herd immunity. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Once the bulk of supplies of COVID-19 vaccines arrives, the Philippines will be able to speed up the vaccination campaign and inoculate 500,000 doses every day. Thus, the government will be able to prove that the country will not be the last in Asia to achieve herd immunity. This is the stance of the palace when asked about a report of a United Kingdom-based think tank that the Philippines will probably reach herd immunity in early 2023 due to the slow vaccination pace.
We will prove them wrong. And I think ang basihan kasi ng think tank na yan must have been our pace of vaccination early on, na talagang Sinovac lang ang meron tayo at kakaunting AstraZeneca. Pero dumating na nga po ang ating mga bakuna at mas marami pang darating.
Presidential spokesperson Roque said recently the Philippines was able to record a vaccination rate of more than 300,000 doses daily.
We are confident that we can hit 500,000 a day. Hindi lang man tayo umasa lang sa Pfizer. By the time Pfizer comes, I think we would have vaccinated anywhere between 12 to 15 million of our people already. We will prove them wrong because our goal remains the same within the year.
This year, the Philippines targets to receive 158 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. But based on the latest figures of the palace, only 14.2 million doses have arrived in the country. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Senate is expected to tackle the delays in the release of COVID-19 funds. COVID-19 funds of government agencies in the deliberations for the 2022 national budget. This as the Bayanihan 2 is set to expire next week with billions of unspent funds. Arlene Delgado will tell us why.
Exactly a week from now, the validity of the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, also known as the Bayanihan 2, is set to expire. That is why lawmakers are urging the Executive Department anew to fast-track the release of remaining funds allotted under the law. Citing the Budget Department's record, Senate Committee on Finance Chairperson Sonny Angara says almost 61 billion pesos has yet to be obligated by implementing agencies out of the 165 billion peso allocation under the Bayanihan 2. Angara calls on the implementing agencies to speed up in using the funds, noting that the Congress acted with urgency in passing the measure last year in order to provide aid to sectors affected by the pandemic. The relief package was signed into law in September and was supposed to end in December 2020. However, Congress extended its validity and availability of funds until June 30 this year to give the implementing agencies more time in using the funds. The UNTV News tried to get the Department of Budget and Management or DBM side, but it has yet to respond. But the DBM earlier confirmed in a recent Senate committee hearing that there are still 173 billion pesos unobligated funds from the total COVID-19 war chest of 660 billion pesos. The delays, according to the DBM, are in the implementation of government agencies. The funds that will expire on June 30 will be reverted to the National Treasury. Earlier, Albay Representative Joey Salceda called on the House leadership to call for a special session to pass a legislation that will extend once again the Bayanihan 2 law. The lawmaker says included in the funds that will expire are the 6.6 billion pesos allocated for laboratory testing services and hiring of health workers, and the 873 million pesos for the hiring and training of contact tracers. But for Senator Francis Pangilinan, there is no need for a special session yet, noting that the Executive Department should fast-track in obligating the funds.
So hintayin natin pagkadating ng June 30, then let us look at a possible extension. They have basis to spend it, they have basis to release it, they have basis to obligate. So that's what they should do. Hindi mapapasok by June 30 kapag obligated na. So nasaan ang bola? Nasa kanila.
For Senate President Vicente Soto III, they will leave it to President Duterte whether to call for a special session.
The President and his economic managers know what is best. Sila masusunod, hindi congressman. So ano gusto gawin ng Presidente, susunod kami.
Meanwhile, for the palace,
no information po, but I attempted to call Secretary Wendell Avisado precisely to ask him these questions.
The House of Representatives has passed on second reading a bill seeking to extend the validity of the bill, while the Senate plans to take up its version once session resumes in July. Angara also expects that the slow fund releases of government agencies will be raised during the deliberations for the 2022 national budget. Horadine Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, is nearly 1 million shy away to reach its target of 61 million registered voters for the May 2022 elections. Dante Amento tells us why.
The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, is now tying up with a developer of big malls in the country. According to Comelec spokesperson Director James Jimenez, they will be utilizing these malls as satellite registration offices. Jimenez adds, negotiation is expected to be finalized this week and they will announce it to the public immediately. Comelec believes enough number of registration centers will allow fast registration process.
Mahalaga kasi na nakikita natin na yung mga tao mas nagkakaroon ng convenience pag satellite registration. Lalo na pag nagaganap ito sa mga malls. Katunayan, isa sa mga inahanda namin ngayon ay isang partnership with a major mall developer. Gusto natin kasi lahat ng malls niya all over the country ay magkaroon ng satellite registrations.
Currently, Comelec has only more than 18,000 satellite registration offices compared to the 52,482 offices in 2019. One of the main challenges of the Commission is the current pandemic situation.
Ang rule kasi natin, kung magsa-satellite registration ka, kailangan zero transmission, zero cases dun sa area. So kung may ganun kang problema, edi hindi ka makakapag-satellite. Hahanap ka ng lugar na talagang pwede mong gawin na minimal to almost nothing yung COVID problem.
Comelec aims to have 60 million registered voters in 2022 elections. And based from the Election Registration Board data, last April 19, 2021, it has already recorded 60,117,780 voters across the country. 3 months is left for Comelec to have the remaining 800,000 voters before the registration will end on September 30, 2021.
Ang pinakamahalaga at this point, Dante, ay yung hindi pa nakakapagparehistro. Magparehistro na po kayo. Malapit na yung deadline natin. 99 days to go as of today. So, unti-unti na nauubos yung panahon para magparehistro. And alam nyo naman ng Pilipinas, meron tayong last-minute typists. Diba? Sakit natin yan eh. Gustong-gusto natin, deadline beaters. Sumisiksik na tayo sa mga polling places.
For more information over the schedule and areas of the satellite registrations, visit Comelec official media pages. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, a political analyst, Professor Edmund Tayao, advises the opposition group to change its political strategy if it wants to win in next year's elections. According to Tayao, the issues on the West Philippine Sea and war on drugs will not help them win over the Duterte administration. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Professor Edmund Tayao believes that President Rodrigo Duterte and presidential daughter Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte remains popular to most of Filipinos, and this may continue until the 2022 national elections. According to the political analyst, it is better for the opposition group to look for other issues in the country that they can bring up in the elections.
Humanap sila ng issue na bago naman, no? Kasi nasubukan na nila yung drugs. Ang tagal nilang ginamit yung drugs na issue, hanggang ngayon ginagamit pa din nila, hindi naman nagpipick up. Ginamit nila yung issue ng West Philippine Sea, pero napansin nila kahit na ang mga pronouncement ng Pangulo mukhang pabor sa bansang China, pero ang galaw ng ating armed forces, ng ating Coast Guard, iba, ano? Kumbaga nananatiling aktibo sa security.
This is aside from looking for a one candidate who will stand against the administration's aspirant in the presidential elections. Tayao advises all political parties not to rely on the popularity of a candidate to win in the elections.
Mahirap yung mananatili ka lang na kumbaga umaasa sa lakas ng kandidato mo, kasi sa isang iglap pwedeng mawala yung popularidad na yan.
The negotiations of political parties have started for coalition and alliances in the 2022 elections. Senator Joel Villanueva is open for any alliances to the Nationalist People's Coalition or to the Liberal Party.
Ito pong coalition talks para po sa ating partido ay hindi lang po ito isang pre-election ritual na pansamantalang alyansa ang resulta. Sa halip po, ito ay isang dynamic na proseso na tuloy-tuloy at nakabatay na rin sa shared goals and common vision.
Senator Villanueva runs in 2016 under the Liberal Party coalition. The NPC is also open to adopt Senator Manny Pacquiao, the president of the ruling party, Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas-CMD or PDP Laban, which is riven by a rift.
Well, anything is possible at this point.
Senator Pacquiao is in talks with Senate President Vicente Sotto III, the acting chairman of the NPC. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Lakas Christian Muslim Democrats or Lakas-CMD has decided to renew its formal alliance with the Hugpong ng Pagbabago. According to House Minority Floor Leader and Lakas-CMD Party President Martin Romualdez, the alliance agreement would bind the two parties to support whoever they decide to field as candidate for president in next year's election. He added that the Lakas-CMD welcomes another political parties who are willing to join a larger partnership for the 2022 elections.
Yung hinintay lang natin yung petsa na lang kung kailan natin ipa-formalize po. Pero in spirit, magkasama na tayo.
Meanwhile, Hugpong ng Pagbabago chairperson and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio confirmed that officers of the regional party are in talks with several highly placed national officials in connection with her possible run for presidency in the 2022 elections. Mayor Duterte said officials should respect her decision should she decide against running for president.
The Philippine National Police Internal Affairs Service has recommended the dismissal from service of Police Master Sergeant Hensyzinampan over the fatal shooting of a 52-year-old woman in Quezon City last month. Lea Ilagan reports.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar has yet to decide on the recommendation of the Internal Affairs Service for the dismissal of Police Master Sergeant Hensyzinampan. Zinampan, who is assigned to the PNP Police Security and Protection Group, was caught on video fatally shooting his neighbor, Lilibet Valdez, in Barangay Greater Fairview on May 31.
Basta sinawag sa akin yan, ipirma ang recommendation ng IAS niya. Naniniwala ko sa integrity ng IAS. Unang-una, pagkabasihan naman natin talaga namang dismissible offense.
IAS Inspector General Attorney Alfigar Triambulo says they submitted it yesterday in the office of the Chief PNP. He added that the video clips and testimony of the three witnesses are strong proof and the basis of their recommendation.
Ang sinampa po namin ay grave misconduct kasi violation sa law ang kanyang ginagawa sa pagpatay ng matanda, isang murder at conduct and becoming of the police officer. Ayon po sa Republic Act 8551, ang parusa po ay dismissal from the service.
Triambulo said Zinampan also requested to reduce the penalty against him because he did not have any derogatory record with the PNP.
May batas din nagsasabi na pag serious amounting to conduct and becoming officer sa dismissible cases yan, isa lang po yung penalty, indivisible, dismissal from the service. So hindi yan pwedeng graduated, hindi yan pwedeng no amount of mitigating circumstances could reduce that penalty.
The IAS resolution in Zinampan's case took only 22 days to finish compared to other cases that takes a month. Attorney Triambulo explained that Zinampan refused to submit his counter affidavit on the case. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police has identified the cops who fired shots that killed a 16-year-old boy and his companion in a police operation in Laguna. The police are now determining whether or not there was an exchange of gunfire between the police operatives and the two slain subjects. Leia Ilagan explains why.
A police senior master sergeant fired the .45 caliber pistol that killed 16-year-old John Derrick Madlinte Helis during the police operation in Binyan City, Laguna on June 16. Another .45 caliber pistol owned by a police commissioned officer killed Antonio Dalit alias Tala. A total of 11 firearms were submitted for ballistic examination. PNP Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar said Dalit and Helis are both positive in gunpowder nitrate based on the paraffin test conducted by the PNP Crime Laboratory. Based on the police report, the two fought back while police officers were serving an arrest warrant on Dalit. The fact-finding investigation task group is looking into the allegation that Helis was handcuffed at the time he was shot. 10 policemen involved in the operation are now under restrictive custody. The PNP chief reiterated his call for relatives and other possible witnesses to come forward and give their statements.
Hindi mahanap ang katotohanan at hindi makakamit ang hustisya kung tayo ay mananahimik na lamang.
Eleazar assures the fact-finding investigation task group will continue investigating the incident. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the United States has seized a number of Iran's state-linked news website domains thought to be spreading disinformation. Maven Dog will give us the details live. Maeve?
As the tension between the two countries is increasing as the U.S. Justice Department confirmed on Tuesday that they have taken down 33 websites used by Iranian media, accusing them of targeting the United States to subvert democratic processes. The federal takedown notice states that the seizure was part of law enforcement action by the U.S. Bureau of Industry and Security, Office of Export Enforcement, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. American authorities have previously seized nearly 100 websites October last year linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard, which were accused of operating under the guise of news outlets and spreading disinformation to push Iranian propaganda globally. Meanwhile, Press TV, one of the Iranian media affected by the seizure, said they are struggling to figure out the reasons for the seizure. Press TV mainly focuses on how the Islamic Republic leaders see the world and international affairs. Kath?
Maeve, what is Iran's take on this action by the U.S. Department of Justice, and are they taking any steps to counter this?
For years, Kath, the relations between Iran and the U.S. have deteriorated. The seizure of the websites actually came after hardline President-elect Ebrahim Raisi called on the U.S. to lift sanctions against Iran and to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal. He also ruled out a meeting with U.S. President Joe Biden on these matters, which were concerns that the Biden administration wanted to address in the future. As for some of the responses to this action, an example is that Yemen's Houthi rebel group said that their satellite news went offline on Tuesday without prior notice. Now, despite the seizure, they said that they will continue their mission of controlling American Israeli acts of piracy against their nation by any means. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Maven Dog, reporting live from Kingaroy, Queensland, Australia. Catalan leaders found guilty in 2019 for sedition and misuse of public funds are now released to the public by the Spanish government. Marvi Delfin tells us the details live. Go ahead, Marvi.
Kath, on Tuesday, the government of Spain provided formal pardons to the 9 Catalan separatist leaders found guilty for their unsuccessful independence referendum. In 2019, they were imprisoned for sedition and misuse of public funds to support the bid. Tuesday's events was dubbed by the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez as a necessity to ease the 4 years of the deepest political strain of Spain. Catalonia initiated an independence referendum from Spain deemed illegal. Of the 9 pardoned, Raul Romeva, former Catalonia Foreign Affairs chief who was sentenced for 12 years, tweeted his defiance, claiming that it is a move to conceal the repression against separatists. Like Romeva, Prime Minister Sanchez's plan was not accepted by many, including the Spanish citizens and the secessionists, who on Monday protested in Barcelona, demanding a new independence referendum. Critics also proposed a full pardon to allow those who fled Spain to come back home, like Carles Puigdemont, the former Catalan president. Kath?
Marvy, can you please briefly tell us why Catalonia is now seeking independence from Spain?
Kath, throughout the decades, Catalonia and its 7.5 million population have desired to act as an independent nation separate from Spain, to hold their culture, language, and heritage. The Catalan nation fell under the governance of Spain and has been a key factor in the economic success of Spain itself, which is one of the many reasons why Catalonia prefers independence. Now, Kath, the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez planned the release of 9 separatist leaders as an attempt to reunite and reconcile both sides for millions of people to coexist. Back to you, Kath.
All right, Marvy Delphin, thank you for that report live from Perth, Australia. Amidst the slow vaccination, Russia records a catastrophic surge of daily coronavirus death toll in a new wave of infections since February. Queenie Rivera will give us the details live. Yes, Queenie?
Yes, there is a spike of deaths across Russia as recorded by health authorities, with mortality reaching 546 in a day yesterday and a total number of over 130,000 deaths, deeming that world's 6th highest. According to authorities, this surge is driven by the Delta variant, which originated from India and is identified as more transmissible, and the unwillingness of people to get the COVID jab. In line with the spread of infections, Moscow Mayor Serbisyong Bayanihan has announced new restrictions wherein all entertainment and sports events with over 500 people are banned. Moreover, all cafes and restaurants in the capital will only allow COVID-19 vaccinated people, those who recovered within the past 6 months, or customers who can show a negative COVID test results in the past 3 days. According to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, people who are not vaccinated or immunized against coronavirus would be unable to work in any workplaces across Russia, and this discrimination is unavoidable. Meanwhile, due to the low vaccination rate of the country, where only 18 million of its 144 million population received at least 1 dose, authorities are trying to persuade people to get COVID jabs by giving away 5 cars worth 1 million rubles or $13,900 every week to vaccinated residents through prize draw. Kath?
Well, Queenie, aside from Russia, are there any other countries with the similar carrot and stick approach to ramp up their inoculation program?
Yes, Kath. The list of countries offering incentives just to get the jab is growing, and offers from big cash prizes to small tokens are on the table, Kath. In the US, specifically in California, they offer big lottery cash prizes. In Hong Kong, a property developer offers $1.4 million worth of apartment, while other businesses in Malaysia offers complimentary desserts, and others give away employee cash bonuses. The most common stick we see here, Kath, these days are prohibitions to unvaccinated people from entering specific premises, like bars, or even face the risk of employment termination. Kath.
All right, Queenie, thank you for that live report from Singapore. People in Taipei, Taiwan, who are homeless will be prioritized for COVID-19 vaccines. Merijo Maleriado will tell us why live. Merijo, how many homeless people will be vaccinated?
Good evening, Kath. Taipei City government reported yesterday that 700 homeless people will be inoculated in the country's capital to combat COVID-19, as the country reached the 14,000 confirmed cases mark this year. From the list of 700, an estimated 100 homeless People living at shelters will be prioritized to be vaccinated because of their steady location. While for the remaining homeless, the city's Department of Social Welfare is working with social groups to locate the homeless to be vaccinated. As of today, there are a total of 14 confirmed cases of COVID-19 of these homeless living at Taipei Main Station and Bangka Park. 3 of them are admitted in a hospital, while the rest are placed in the epidemic prevention hotels. Mayor Ko Wen-chi said that despite the low number of homeless in the city, it's still too difficult to monitor their location, so it would be better to vaccinate all of them as soon as possible. As of June 19, a Central Epidemic Command Center reported that a total of 1,446,608 AstraZeneca shots were administered in Taiwan. Kath?
Thank you, Merijo Maleriado, live from Taiwan. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Kat Dumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
Health experts are consistently urging the public to get vaccinated against COVID-19 to prevent a person from getting seriously ill of the deadly virus. But these vaccines can also decrease the chances of COVID-19 mutations. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Health experts in the Philippines are aware of the Delta variant mutation called Delta Plus, recorded by the Union Health Ministry of India in 3 states. The Health Ministry identified 3 characteristics of the Delta Plus variant: increased transmissibility, stronger binding to receptors of lung cells, and potential reduction in monoclonal antibody response. India is among the 9 countries where the Delta Plus variant has been detected. It's also detected in the United States, United Kingdom, Portugal, Switzerland, Japan, Poland, Nepal, China, and Russia. The Philippines has not yet recorded a Delta Plus case in the country. According to Dr. De La Paz, getting a jab against COVID-19 can help in the decline of cases and prevent any COVID-19 variant mutation in the Philippines.
Ang isang pinaka-importanting mensahe po ay ang pagpapabakuna. Kasi anyway, dumadating na po yung mga vaccines, kaya kailangan na tayong saya kasi marami ng bakunang parating. Sana po marami sa ating mga kababayan ang magpabakuna.
Meanwhile, the procurement of reagents for whole genome sequencing for the rest of the year was initiated by a grant of 180 million pesos by the DOH to the UP Philippine Genome Center last May 2021. After undergoing the government procurement process, the reagents shall arrive at the UP PGC this week.
Yes, I am confirming that once the reagents have arrived, 750 samples, at least 750 samples a week. Kung kinakailangan tayo ay may emergency run kasi may nakitang clustering of cases in an area, we can also do some small runs and have results faster.
These reagents will allow the DOH, UPPGC, and UPNIH to sequence samples of COVID-19 cases regularly until the end of the year, ensuring that the government will have essential information in mitigating the spread of COVID-19. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines' cumulative tally of COVID-19 cases has reached 1,372,232 after the Department of Health, or DOH, reported 4,353 additional infections. In its latest bulletin, the DOH said the country's number of active cases is down to 49,862. Of this figure, 90.4% are mild, 0.5% are asymptomatic, 1.49% are moderate, 2.1% are severe, and 1.5% are in critical condition. The country's recovery tally climbed to 1,298,442 after 7,139 more patients recuperated from the disease. The number of COVID-related deaths rose to 23,928 with 119 new fatalities. The agency noted in its report that 6 laboratories failed to submit data on time.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority says majority of Metro Manila may be vaccinated within 3 months. Let's find out why from Asher Cadapan Jr.
Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairman Benjamin Benhar Abalos Jr. explains that local chief executives in the National Capital Region are becoming more efficient in the COVID-19 vaccination program. And while the government receives continuous supply of vaccines, targeting to jab the majority of 14 million population in Metro Manila may be possible in just a few months' time.
But the numbers are so efficient that sometimes you are jabbing about 200,000 a day, more than that. So, i-assume natin there is enough supply of vaccines. At the end of September, majority of the population is more than achievable.
Some local government units in Metro Manila were able to achieve more than 35,000 single-day vaccination against COVID-19. On June 21, Quezon City was able to vaccinate more than 37,000 individuals within the day, while the city of Manila reached more than 35,000 vaccinees yesterday. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte says they aim to improve their vaccination system as more vaccines are distributed to the local government units.
We are constantly evolving our systems. We are constantly developing new systems as we read through the sentiments of our people, as we listen to their voices, we are responding. No? So magtiwala lang po kayo sa lungsod at we'll make sure na yung vaccines will be available to you. Basta't kayo po sana desidido rin pong magpabakuna.
Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto, however, explains that the number of vaccinees in every LGU differs depending on the size of the population.
Kasi yung supply ng bakuna, proportionate po yan sa population ng lungsod natin. So, technically, walang mas mabilis, walang mas mabagal. Pagdating sa NCR, proportionate po yan at paubos na yung supply natin eh. So, ganun po talaga yun.
San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora and Navotas City Mayor Toby Tiangco, on the other hand, anticipate to achieve the herd immunity in their respective LGUs by August.
Yung ating August timeline ay very achievable. Kaya nga ho tayo magdadagdag ng additional site pa sa Green Hills upang yung ating araw-araw na 3,000 nababakunahan ay ma-schedule for second dose.
So dapat in 21 days, kung kompleto yung bakuna natin, in 21 days, maaabot natin yung 150,000 for the first dose. And then you add another para safe 30 days for the second dose, so 51 days, so 2 months.
Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Health has classified the National Capital Region as a low-risk area as cases in the capital continues to decline. However, outside Metro Manila, COVID-19 cases continue to surge. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Para po sa NCR, siya po ay naklasify na ngayon natin at low risk dahil nagpakita siya ng pagbaba ng kaso by 23% in the last 2 weeks at ang kanya pong ADAR ay nasa 5.7 na lamang.
Metro Manila, considered as a COVID-19 epicenter in the Philippines, is now classified as a low-risk area by the Health Department's Epidemiology Bureau. Based on the report, the average daily new COVID-19 cases in Metro Manila is 685 from June 16 to 22, lower than the 825 average cases from June 9 to 15. But despite this, there are other regions at higher critical risk when it comes to their ICU utilization. These are Region 2, 6, 10, 11, and 12. But the DOH also classified areas as high risk in terms of their case trend. These are Caraga, Davao Region, Soc-Surgen in Mindanao, and in Western Visayas. There are also other areas in Luzon Region with declining cases except Laguna and Cordillera Administrative Region.
Kung dati NCR ang palaging nasa number 1, nakikita natin in the last few days it's Region Calabarzon as well as the inclusion of regions and areas from Visayas and Mindanao. Although we're happy that these numbers are going down, it's still far from our pre-spike levels of less than 2,000 cases per day nationally.
Nationally, a declining case trend has been observed in the Philippines, but cases could still decrease with responsible observance of minimum health protocols and vaccination. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Victims of crimes in the southwestern part of France receive an extraordinary comfort support from a 5-year-old Labrador retriever during court proceedings. Maria Latosa reports why.
Meet Lol, a very calm and highly trained 5-year-old Labrador that walks around the rural French courtroom in the Lot Department in France. Lol has a special purpose in the Lot Department's courtroom. The Lot Department, which is located in Occitanie region of France, aims to humanize the court proceedings and ease anxiousness and relieve stress of the victims with the help of Lol. The Labrador dog is trained to endure stressful courtroom situations and remain calm in the presence of strangers, including children. The Lot Department Chief Prosecutor Frederick Almendra stated that Lol actually provides comfort to victims of crimes that make them become more open, comfortable, and even testify in court. The use of dogs to minimize stress and anxiety has a scientific evidence based on a study conducted by scientists in Washington State University. It states that by just petting the dog for 10 minutes can have a significant impact as it reduces the level of cortisol or stress hormones in our body. Dogs can also reduce symptoms of people with PTSD or post-traumatic syndrome disorder, according to Purdue University College of Medicine. Because of the success of this program, Lol has been borrowed across France and has already appeared in 80 criminal investigations with victims aged from 3 years old to 90 years old. French MP Huguette Tiagna is also pushing a bill to give judicial recognition to animals on the grounds of helping the victims. By the end of next year, French court jurisdictions are expected to have 20 dogs, while Lol is set for another challenge to see if it can help violent criminals in their reformation process. Maria Latosa, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with the final word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9. It says, "A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps." And those are the reasons behind the news, June 23, 2021. I am Rodrigo Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold, Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.